This is my Week 7 presentation on the readings. Both readings this week focused on the next steps in leadership and in our action research project. The theme and title of Chapter 7 in the Exemplary Leadership text is Leadership is Everyone's Business. The chapter summarizes all that we have learned about leadership this semester and then concludes by saying that these traits and characteristics of good leaders are not necessarily inherent, but are learned and practiced skills. The role of a good leader is to enable other leaders to step forward by setting the example for others to learn from. But the text cautions, when leaders focus only on their own leadership, they can lose the humility and generosity that true great leaders should possess. A great leader will be able to hone their own leadership skills while remembering that they are only able to lead because others are generous enough to follow. In the text this week, there were two particular quotes that I took away with me. Both of them I actually printed out on my computer and posted on my bulletin board at work so that I would remember them. I'd like to share with you now what these are and what they mean to me. The first is a phrase that the authors of our text said they heard leaders repeat over and over again throughout their research. They write, "I knew in my heart what we were trying to do and why we were trying to do it, and what I was prepared to do myself to make it happen." I think this really hits home with me because it makes leadership seem very obtainable. Leadership is really believing in a possibility, understanding that possibility, and then being prepared to work to make that solution possible. That sounds easier to do than it is, but it is absolutely something that I can do. The second quote is from a U.S. Army Major General named John Stanford. The Major General worked in all levels of leadership, national, local, and international. When asked what it takes to succeed in leadership, he replied, "The secret to success is staying in love. Staying in love gives you the fire to ignite other people, to see inside other people, to have a greater desire to get things done than other people." He goes on to say that no power other than love can drive people to the level of commitment that true leadership takes. Last week when I did my presentation on my capstone, I compared my project to a marriage. I think this is what the Major General was saying. In order to stay passionate enough to motivate yourself and others around you, you must be in love with and passionate about your calling. This resonates with me personally right now because I have not been particularly satisfied in my job in the past few months, and much like a relationship, I'm trying to sort it out to see if these are issues that I can deal with and move past, or if it is time to break up, so to speak. Hearing the Major General say that this issue of loving your purpose is really the key to succeeding gives me a new perspective to review my position and career path from. In the next few months, I think this particular phrase will continue to be of considerable influence on me. Oh, the action research dissertation. This week's topic was less than exciting to me, but I tried to get as fired up as I could about it. The text talked about less than passionate issues such as ethics, consent, and other legal mumbo-jumbo that is necessary when doing action research. I picked a few of these areas that the text discusses as being directly related to my own research. The first is the absence of coercive pressure to participate for research participants. For me, this is particularly important because the majority of my research participants will be students. The text talks about using prisoners for research, and sadly, students are really not that much different. Since they will be put in contact with me by their dean, there will be the implied pressure to participate from their administration. To combat this, I will be contacting the students directly instead of the dean contacting them. I think this will take some of the pressure to participate off of the students and will ensure that the students that I get are willingly participating. The second issue I have is in the presentation of the information to inform the decision to participate. I need to make sure that when I speak with the students, I am very clear about what I'm doing. They should understand that this is simply a mock website and that I want to know ways in which it is easy to use, ways that it can be improved, and ways that it can be expanded for even easier and more efficient use. And the third and final consideration for me is to provide a written consent form to all participants. While I don't necessarily think that my project is controversial or even important enough to be consented to, I do think a standard written consent form would be a good idea, not just for me, but for all of us to consider, just to make sure that our bases are legally covered.